for me, I think the first step in self-care would be to connect. Checking in with your family, checking in with your friends, even your co-workers, all those things all of those listed are acts of self-care. So incorporating anything into your daily life that brings you joy, that brings you happiness, really show yourself that you care for yourself and you love yourself, whether it be just having a simple glass of water. The idea is to humanize mental health, and the only way that we can actually do that is by creating a space where there's empathy, understanding, and acceptance. So self-care really essentially is deliberate action to maintain and improve your mental, physical, and emotional well-being.
Welcome to Anne-Marie's Impact. My name is Anne-Marie Emmanuel, and I love being on here having raw conversations with real people as inspiration for those ready to elevate and dominate personally and professionally through the power of self-love. Join me on this transformative journey as we move from inner lack to inner lush together. Hi, welcome to Anne-Marie's Impact. Get ready to be inspired by a true symbol of charisma, style, and excellence. My guest today not only has won the hearts of many, but also the prestigious Mr Supranational Caribbean 2023. Please help me welcome the reigning Mr Supranational Caribbean 2023, Keathon Yallery, whose journey to the crown is nothing short of remarkable. Keathon, welcome to my show.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Anne-Marie.
You're quite welcome. So first of all, please tell us, what is Mr Supranational?
No problem. So Mr Supranational is an international male beauty contest, or competition rather, and it actually is a super modern and high fashion television production hosted in Poland every year, where over 30 countries participate. The first competition was held in 2016, and I was now able to participate representing Trinidad and Tobago. It's part of the Mr Supranational organization and also hosts Miss Supranational as well. So there's a Miss and Mr Supranational competition held simultaneously, both are 2 days apart, a day apart actually. So yeah, that's a little bit about Mr.
How old do you have to be to enter this? Am I qualified?
I think you're still qualified. Just kidding.
And you said since 2016. How come I never heard of this?
Well, actually,
where have I been?
Where have you been? Well, essentially, I guess a lot of people within the pageant world and the beauty industry would be aware of it, and more so in other countries. But I think now in the Caribbean and to our climate, to Trinidad and Tobago, is now being more acclimatized and more aware of the actual platform. So recently the franchise took over in 5 years now. So it's a recent incorporation, but I think people are receiving it well.
Right. Oh wow. That is so cool. And now I feel really bad because I am of the fashion industry and I didn't know about it. So that's okay. So, now I'm feeling a little mischievous because I wanted to ask you this question. Yeah. So if there were to be a drink named after you, Keathon, what would it be?
That's a really good question.
I think I would ask something that they would ask in a pageant.
If I was a drink, what would the name be? Well, seeing that I'm Mr Supranational Caribbean, I would say my drink name would be probably Supra Carry Delight. I don't know. That sounds good, right?
Yeah. Super Carry Delight. I love that. I was thinking something like stunning. But I like that.
Thank you very much.
That is so much. I would drink that.
Thank you.
So what would be the ingredients?
Well,
any alcohol?
The Supra would represent super delicious, so just expect it to be delicious.
Wow.
Carry Caribbean fusion, so passion, kind of fruits and stuff like that. And Delight to be whatever you want it to be, whether it's not alcoholic or non-alcoholic. But I would recommend no alcohol because I don't drink, but still.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't drink either, but how about both?
Both actually, we welcome both.
Right, that would be so cool. So you are a busy influencer. You with the
Platform.
Mr. Supranational. You also have a couple of purpose-driven enterprises, and you also work from 8 to 4 as an actuary. How do you manage all of those?
I think this is a question that I get asked a lot. And sometimes I ask myself, how do I manage? But I think one for me, time management and being proactive. So just planning ahead and also reflecting on my motivation, which is intrinsic to everybody.
Yeah.
So really being in line with what are my passions in life and asking myself why I'm doing what I'm doing really motivates me to continue doing everything that I want to do and that I like to do. But also just staying positive as well, because sometimes you can be exhausted, but being positive and having a strong mindset within it all gets me through balancing everything.
Yeah, all of those attributes and more, because I get that question a lot as well. And I really, I don't think about it. I'm like, oh, really? How do I do it? You don't really think about it. I think you're just driven by motivation, by passion, and by just doing you and living life, doing the things that are important to you and the things that you love doing.
Agreed.
And once you're doing that, I think everything gets fits in, and it's just a matter of managing the time. So I really like what you said about time management. But so what exactly is your motivation for doing
So my
it?
motivation, especially for Destination Success, is my love for self-care and my love for mental health awareness.
Right.
And then also for my 11 Days team, which is an educational program, just my love for education and empowerment and giving people, children from my community, especially from my past preschool that I'm very closely linked to, because my family has a legacy of being preschool teachers. My aunt, Auntie Marcia, she wants to name her by name. Name her by name. She actually was the head preschool teacher, especially when I attended this school at that time. So this school actually has is very close to my heart, and that's what drives that particular passion. But outside of that, I have a love for STEM. I love mathematics. Has always been a passion of mine. So that's why I pursue the area and the field of actuarial science. So those are the things that are my passions, and those why I keep going actually.
Wow. So I was thinking maybe that there was something in the past that drove you to want to create a better world or to do all of these things. But now I see it's something in your family line. That's really good to see how family has such an influence on us. That's a positive influence on you. So that's really nice. So tell me about Destination Success. That is so intriguing.
So Destination Success is a male self-care store. So essentially...
excuse me, what is it?
A male self-care store.
Wow.
So everything male self-care. So really, essentially our motto is really to make every male feel, look, and become successful. And that is from the inside out, because we all know self-care is not a linear journey, there's ups and downs. So outside of just giving them products to take care of themselves, whether it be facial products and beauty products in general, is actually giving them information such as for mental health exactly, and for fitness and for diets and stuff to keep them going on that journey and just ensuring that they have everything that they need.
Yeah, now I see why we sort of connected, because that's exactly what I do for especially for women. And it's so interesting to hear that you are doing this for men, because it's a rare thing. It's not something that you hear about all the time. What kind of response do you get from men? I know in my work that I do, men are not too much into, that's where I lose them. Like, okay, that's for women. What kind of response do you get?
I actually get positive responses, and I actually get positive response from both men and women, because women are also inspired by the fact that a man is spearheading this particular cause, and they are using now that as a man promoting self-care and self-love to inspire their male counterparts or partners, whoever it may be, to let them know that this is okay and this is something that they should do. So I think it has been positive both in male and female perspective, but in terms of male, they are more so just open to receiving information like they have never known. That's like, I didn't even know how to wash my face. They didn't know about cleansers, those kind of things. So I think both responses have been positive.
So that brings me to
to dig a little deeper. So you said you get positive responses from men. Is there a particular age group that is coming into acceptance of this? Because I know in my generation that was not. I come from a generation of macho men, rugged, rough, and I have a hard time getting men in my generation. Do you find that? Do you find it's a generational thing, or it's
to some extent?
Who would be your ideal client, sort of?
To some extent, it is a generational thing, because I think the more Gen Z and the more recent generations, they are more aware of self-care and what it means, because it's more promoted now and it's more accepted as as normal. But I think the older generation of men, they still come with the understanding of just conversations from an ex-male perspective, and they're just open to learning. So really and truly has been positive.
Yeah. What's your definition of self-care? Like, I know you probably mentioned some of it, but to help our viewers understand what is self-care, I know a lot of people hear self-love and self-care, but they don't really understand what it entails.
So self-care really essentially is deliberate action to maintain and improve your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. So, and it's really individualistic, so really it's different for everyone. So what works for me may not work for you, may not work for everyone else, but it's really just finding things that you love. So and self-care is open to a plethora of different things. So for example, just physical fitness, exercising, maintaining a good sleep pattern, eating well, and then you have, the fundamental perspective, seeking help when necessary, going to therapy, practicing mindfulness. I mean, there's so many things that that is surrounding self-care, but you're just taking deliberate action.
Yeah, I think self-care and self-love are synonymous in that self-love is really paying attention to your heart, your body, your mind, and your soul. So it's building a foundation by which you can stand and build anything on. Once you take care of those foundational practices, and it is a practice, right? It's not something that you decide you're going to do. Okay, I'm going to start practicing. I'm going to start doing self-love. I love myself. It's a practice. It's a work in action, and I think it's the same thing with self-care. It's a daily practice. Like, you can't just, start taking care of your skin for a week or so, and things start looking really beautiful, and then you just drop. And that tends to happen a lot with the best of us, even myself, So it's a daily practice. It's a daily commitment to ourselves, and the self-care is part of demonstrating self-love. I think the self-care just focuses more on starting with the body and then moving into the emotional part of us, taking care of the mind, the spirit, the soul. So it's a complete work in action.
I completely agree with you.
Yes.
Completely.
Yes. So I also wanted to talk to you about L'Avenir, this team. Did you come up with that name? I did come up with the name because I love languages, learning new languages. So I speak French, Spanish, and a little German. Get out.
Yeah. So while learning French at the time, yes, I was really into it, but I love languages. So L'Avenir in English means the future of L'Avenir.
Right.
So it's
I thought it meant the avenue.
No, actually, it actually meant the future of STEAM, because essentially the children are our future. So that was the theme. So the theme of it more is to just, the future of STEAM. So it's an early childhood educational program that really facilitates STEAM engaging, innovative, and fun STEAM programming. So whether it be building a volcano, going to a tortoise zoology museum, chemical experiments, which is not really chemical experiments, it's more like dishwashing soap and food dye. But to the children, it's like actually seeing the reactions to both.
Yeah.
And that's basically essentially what the program is.
And you mentioned preschoolers. Like, why do you think it's so important for, I know it's just for children on the whole, to learn these skills, but preschoolers, wow.
Well, it was important.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think, because we underestimate children a lot. And I think when you start teaching children and at that age where they are not already influenced by those personalities that we
Yes.
get. So
Yes, I
how
understand.
is that?
So it has been a lot of fun, but I think the importance for me was more so in a world that is actually driven by technology and data,
Right.
the skills that you learn from an early age is really essential and important. So introducing them to like teamwork and collaboration, to practical thinking, and everything that you get from STEAM education, I think
Right.
it's important for them. And
Right.
from an early age is essentially even more important to start
It's-
developing
yeah.
those skills.
Now I totally
So-
get it now that you put it that
Yeah.
way, because I mean, if I want to know how to do something on my phone, I could call a
Exactly.
2 or 3-year-old and they'll tell me. So you're right. That's right in line with
Yeah.
with that generation. And I'm still thinking old generation where you're like, kids, 2, 3 years old, what do they know? But yeah, so I
agree.
totally can see how that is the best time to start them. And so what kind of success have you had with that? Are people like open to bringing their children?
Absolutely. Well, actually, it's in collaboration with my preschool. So it's a program that was initiated in the preschool itself.
Oh, okay.
And in collaboration with UWI. So basically,
Right.
we have had a lot of support from the University of the West Indies and their STEAM community. So all the clubs from the University of the West Indies, including the arts as well, have all contributed tremendously to the program.
Wow.
So the Zoology Museum was open to having them facilitate a tour. So they were able to do a field trip to the University of the West Indies to see the campus, to tour the museum, and to actually integrate with the students to kind of inspire them and plant that seed of what the future will look like for them
Right.
and life as a researcher. But then also the chemistry, club and all the other clubs are open to coming to the preschool and doing different experiments with them as well. Whether it be building a volcano, doing the chemical experiments, learning to play pan and piano, which was really important for me because I also play pan and piano.
Okay.
So I really
me
wanted.
too.
Yeah, you too as well, right? And I love it.
Yes.
I think it's really
It's my
important.
passion too.
I love music.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for them to grow holistically, and the support that I've received from the University of the West Indies was invaluable. So I was really appreciative of that. And so I hope I answered the question.
Yes, you did. But so if I'm just a normal parent with my child and I'm so interested in getting my child involved in something like this, how can I be a part of it, or does it have to be like their preschool?
Absolutely. I think we are open to making it a little bigger now. So I'm in collaborations with a migrant center in Shogunas because I was recently given the title of a Goodwill Ambassador for the Freely Give Foundation, and they have a migrant
How
center.
many
that-
titles do you
Is that-
hold? My God, it's such a,
So I actually
you're so impressive.
Thank you very much. So I incorporated the program there as well.
Right.
So hopefully, my hope is that the program could grow and enter into different preschools and different areas, whether it be within a particular center or actually expand it to different preschools. My hope is like spreading it as much as possible.
So I do work here in Las Cuevas with the children.
Yeah.
You were here last week
I
when
was
we
here.
did the film production
Definitely.
with the children. How can I get that program?
Absolutely. Well,
into-
after the event, I was very inspired when I walked to you, and I was like, I really want to work with you all in the future
Oh,
because I
right,
think it was an
yes.
incredible program. So my hope is that we could collaborate in that way so that therefore I could facilitate those
Yes.
programs and those activities here with the children of the program. So we
Right.
could link together and talk and definitely start it. Yeah.
Absolutely, we have to do that.
Have to
we
do
have to
it.
work on that.
Have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get back to Mr. Supranational, Supranational
Supranational. Mr. Supranational Caribbean.
Caribbean 2023. So now that you have this platform where you can influence people and impact people in your country, your community, and in the world, what exactly would you like to be remembered for?
That's a really difficult question to answer, but I think every time I get that question, I go back into the reason why I entered
Yeah,
Mr. Trinidad
it's your
in the
why,
first place.
yeah.
So really and truly was to help in any way possible. So I think if it was anything to be anything that I was able to influence would be to show people that to do whatever you can with what little you have. Whether it is spreading mental health awareness, whether it is a STEAM program, whatever you are passionate about that leads to positive change, I really want to inspire people to do that. That's what I hope I leave back.
Wow. So you, to get to this point of Mr. Supranational,
Yeah.
I know once you have a dream and you accomplish your dream, you can always look back and see the periods of endarkenment or the dark night of the soul, or the struggles,
The challenges.
whatever you want to call it. What are some of the things that you had to overcome in order to achieve this success?
I mean, with everything there's good and bad, right?
Right.
So, I mean, there were a lot of challenges along the journey, and I think for me, the challenge right now that really stood out was more so, you know, people not believing in your ability to do well in the competition. So I think that was a big part of the journey as well, in terms of just genuine support and understanding. But I think the positive over the negative. I think a lot of people were really, really good towards me and really, really facilitate the journey, whether it be from the sponsors to the trainers, you know, to my mother, to my family, that were really core to this experience being what it is. I think I took that with me to the international competition and doing my best every day. And I feel like that would lead to this positive outcome. So outside of the cup challenges, I try to focus on the positives. Also.
But there had to be some naysayers hanging around, and the people who, you know, just always have something negative, or, you know, when they're operating from their own fears and insecurities, they try to instill that in you as well. So do you have any particular story where someone either tried to shut you down or just make you feel like what you're doing is not you know, people tend to think that they know what's best for you more than you do.
Definitely. I think one particular challenge in that regard may be probably where, you know, somebody who was, I won't go to detail it in detail, but somebody who was supposed to be facilitating my group within the process probably made statements like, you know, just go for the experience. This really isn't for you, you know, that kind of thing.
Wow.
So, and then, you know, you had to believe that, you know, that I was worthy and that I was able to do it.
Yes.
And I went to that belief rather than what was being said.
Right. And then the other side of that I would ask you, because sometimes we get in our own way more than anything else. We are the only ones who really can stop us. Definitely. So did you have any kind of limiting belief anywhere along your journey, whether it's with the Mr. Supranational or some of the other projects that you're working on? Where did you have to overcome yourself?
And myself. I think in terms of limiting belief, I think what really stood out for me throughout this journey, and in general, I'm kind of a somewhat private person, an introverted person, so being a part of the, you know, social media world, I didn't know these things were like, was not a part of my life. So, you know, trying to like go and being fascinated with Instagram, I didn't even have a Facebook account at that particular time.
Wow.
So kind of being accustomed to that and acclimatizing to that kind of, you know, industry and that kind of field was a big limitation for me, because I was kind of like shy to it. It wasn't something that I was open to, but really and truly, I think just the positivity really that I have received, just on the messages from Trinidad and Tobago as a whole and from just general supporters around the world really makes the process, you know, worth it.
Yeah. So you and I are going to be entering into a different relationship pretty soon, coaching client relationship, and I'm so excited to have you as one of my clients in self-love. And so what are your expectations for that?
Well, my passion is self-love, so my expectation is just to grow and to learn something new, and to really just apply what you've learned to my life, but also to share it with other people as well. So that's my goal.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna get that and a lot more because it's really a journey into self-discovery and really understanding anything that can get in the way of stopping you or instilling fear in you. So the kind of freedom that you will get from that course is going to be phenomenal. And then you can take that, apply it to your life, and also you can help the children that you're working with. So I'm really, really excited and honored to be in that position of being your coach over the next few months.
I'm very excited, very, very, very excited.
Yeah. And I also like the fact that you were very open.
Exactly, because when you approached me, it was like, you know, You see, when you told me about what you do, and then after
Right.
you said that you could see our linked passions,
Right.
and after that I was like, I actually did not know there was a self-love coach. I just, just information around,
Yeah.
floating around. So I was like, this is really interesting and this might be fun. So that's why I really reached out to you, because I wanted to see
Yeah.
what it would look like.
So in the mental health department, I think that's another commonality that we
Correct.
have. And so given the stigma that we have here in the Caribbean, and by extension, the world about mental health, but especially here in Trinidad, how do you think we can humanize mental health? Because I see so many people with not severe mental health disorders, but they're just it's just people just look at it like they're crazy, and some of them end up in St. Anne's, and it's just a simple disorder that it's mental health is a sickness like anything else, and there are so many remedies and counseling and different things that can help it. But it's not being addressed at all. So how do you think you can use this platform that you have to help to humanize mental health?
Absolutely. So I think the idea is to humanize mental health, and the only way that we can actually do that is by creating a space where there's empathy, understanding, and acceptance. So that therefore people suffering from mental health could feel supported and valued. And that can be done in many different ways, from sharing personal stories, to having room to share personal stories, to educating yourself and also others, and so many other things. So for me, this particular platform, I always had a series which is called Mindful Monday, and I just seek out to have engaging, meaningful conversation with experts within the field to share information about mental health and how they could access help. So I think that's how I utilize my platform, to spread awareness and to really humanize what the theme that is mental health.
So Keathon, perhaps we can collaborate on coming up with a list of self-care, self-love routines
Absolutely.
that can help the audience just know where to start. Some people just don't even know where to start. How do I start loving myself? How do I start caring for myself? So what would you say?
Again, I want to make it clear that self-care is really individualistic. So what works for me may not work for you, and what is perfectly working for Anne-Marie may not work for you as well. But the hope is just to inspire you. And for me, I think the first step in self-care would be to connect with a higher source or with yourself. So that means the first thing I do in the morning is meditation. So that means that I be by prayer. And for me, I'm a believer, I'm reading my Bible, just spend 5 minutes of just decompression, and being with yourself is important. I think following that is also caring for yourself, and that is your body. So, facial, doing your daily facial, that is cleansing, exfoliating, all these different parts. It's showing yourself that you care for yourself, and essentially you love yourself as well. And then also for me in the morning, I try to read as well. So that's mentally destabilizing yourself and being grounded. So I love to read and those kind of things. But I think throughout the day it's more so connection and being social, checking in with your family, checking in with your friends, even your co-workers, all those things all of those listed are acts of self-care. So incorporating anything into your daily life that brings you joy, that brings you happiness, already show yourself that you care for yourself and you love yourself, whether it be just having a simple glass of water. That's my recommendation.
Oh, that's fabulous. And most of those that you said, all of them, is what I would have, so I don't want to repeat. But what I would like to add to that is that people having the curiosity to look into areas that they don't know, because I think that's where some of the bigger problems are. A lot of us know what we need to do to love ourselves, and yet we still find ourselves not loving ourselves. So my job is always to show the things that get in the way of loving yourself. And you have to be willing to say, there are some things that may be going on in my subconscious that I am not aware of, and I want to know. So in order to say that, you have to be willing to also invest in yourself, because you're not going to get that information on social media or something. You have to actually either hire a coach or really get into a program that is working to discover those things. So those personalities that's running your life and keeping you stuck and keeping you making the same bad decisions for your life all the time,
sure.
keeping you in self-sabotage and self-bullying. So those are to me, if I add all of that to what you just said, that person would be really on the right track to starting the practice of self-love and self-care. Yes.
I think we did a great job.
Yeah, I think we can now go to work on that with our
Let's get started, guys.
together.
Let's get started.
So Keathon, it was such a pleasure. You are such an inspiring person, and I am so happy to have you on the show today. I want to tell you to continue doing what you're doing. I'm so looking forward to coaching you and
I'm so looking forward to the program.
seeing you discover things about yourself that you don't know, that's going to really help you to propel you into a higher level and give you the tools and the distinctions to really do the work that you want to do and be unstoppable. So I am so excited. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
And you have to come again.
Absolutely. Whenever you want to have me again, I'll be there.
Yes. So you take good care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, listeners, for watching. This episode was made possible by the generous contribution of Kent Mitchell.